5-year-olds learn languages effortlessly. Adults struggle for years to form basic sentences. Same brain structure, same learning capacity, so what changed? Here's the uncomfortable truth: the more you know, the harder it becomes to learn new things. Not because your brain aged, but because your ego hardened. You built invisible mental prisons that block new perspectives. But here's what's fascinating. Why do Japanese Zen masters in Kyoto, after decades of practice, still call themselves beginners? Why does Toyota, the iconic Japanese company, train engineers using beginner's mind workshops? It's a Japanese concept called Shoshin, and neuroscience just proved why it might be the most powerful learning accelerator ever discovered. This is ancient Japanese wisdom from Japan's Buddhist temples. Let me ask you something. Have you ever tried learning something new but got stuck comparing it to what you already know? Tried learning Japanese language, but your brain insisted on translating everything, slowing you down? Or attempted a new study technique but reverted to old habits because they felt comfortable? That's neural confirmation bias in action. Your brain prefers known patterns, even if inefficient, over building new efficient patterns. It's not protecting you, it's imprisoning you. Japanese Zen philosophy from Japan identified this problem centuries ago. Researchers at Kyoto University in Japan, using brain scans, discovered something remarkable. When adults approach learning with expertise mentality, their default mode network activates, the part that filters information through existing beliefs. This blocks 60% of new neural connections before they form. But when adults adopt Shoshin, Japanese beginner's mind, their brains show activation patterns identical to children exploring new environments. The prefrontal cortex lights up in exploratory mode, not automatic mode. Suddenly, your brain processes information without bias, creating richer, more diverse neural pathways. Picture a Japanese garden in Kyoto, fresh, new, open to possibilities. That's Shoshin. The Japanese flag represents this simplicity and openness. Think about children learning. They don't have egos protecting previous knowledge. They ask silly questions, they try ridiculous approaches. They fail constantly without embarrassment. And because of this, they learn at exponential speed through mindful, intentional practice that adults have forgotten. Japanese culture preserves this wisdom through Shoshin, imaging learning like a skill tree. Japanese masters across Japan know that removing ego creates the strongest foundation. Your brain is a muscle that grows with intelligent training when you approach it with Shoshin, the Japanese way. First technique, the 5 whys question. This comes from Japanese quality control methods developed in Japan's manufacturing sector. When learning something new, don't accept the first explanation. Ask why, then ask why again and again, 5 levels deep. This forces your brain to deconstruct assumptions and build genuine understanding. Each why creates a new neural synapse. Transform passive observation into active retrieval. The Japanese approach practiced in Japanese schools across Japan. Second technique, expert inversion. Choose something you think you've mastered. Now imagine explaining it to a 5-year-old who's never heard of the subject, like explaining Japanese culture to someone who's never been to Japan. No jargon, no technical terms, just simple language. If you can do this, you truly understand. If you can't, you've memorized terms but haven't comprehended concepts. This practice reveals gaps you didn't know existed. And identified gaps are gaps that can be filled. Japanese educators across Japan use this technique constantly. Third technique, the Purposeful Ignorance Ritual. This comes directly from Japanese Zen temples in Kyoto and throughout Japan. Before each learning session, say out loud, "I know nothing about this," and that's perfectly acceptable. This simple ritual deactivates your defensive ego. You're giving your brain permission to err, to seem foolish, to ask basic questions. Studies show people who admit ignorance learn 40% faster because they don't waste mental energy protecting an image of competence. Create neurological triggers for deep concentration using this Japanese Zen practice. Japanese monks have used this for centuries in Japanese temples across Japan. The neuroscience is clear. When you practice Shoshin, this Japanese technique, your prefrontal cortex shows patterns identical to children learning. You're not forgetting what you know. You're not letting what you know prevent you from discovering what you don't yet know. This is Japanese wisdom from Japan's centuries of refinement. Imagine learning without the crushing weight of having to prove you already know. Imagine asking questions without fear of appearing ignorant, like a Japanese student approaching a Japanese master. Imagine absorbing knowledge with the same velocity you had as a child, but now with adult discipline and resources. Your brain is waiting to be optimized through Japanese Shoshin philosophy. Your challenge: choose one subject you think you've mastered. Approach it with Shoshin today, the Japanese beginner's mind. Ask questions you normally wouldn't ask. Question assumptions you've always accepted, the way Japanese Zen practitioners in Japan do daily. You'll be surprised how many layers of understanding you haven't accessed. The beginner's mind isn't weakness, it's the secret weapon of true masters, proven across Japan for centuries. Shoshin is one of 7 complementary Japanese techniques. Full series linked below. Watch all for maximum impact through wisdom from Japan. Subscribe for more methods that transform your mental operating system using Japanese philosophy.